Hello, our group is presenting Chapter 8, which is reconciling the need to achieve as well as the need to belong. The first thing I'm going to do is start with an example. This example came from our book about a boy named Tony. He was a high-achieving student, gifted and talented, who usually did well in the classroom, and as of late, his parents and teachers are noticing that he's not turning his homework in and he's not achieving well on tests, even though in the classroom he seems engaged during class and understands the material. He just doesn't seem to be putting forth the effort in the classroom during these assessments. His parents have noticed that he wants to spend more time with his friends and doesn't seem as interested in achieving in the classroom. This is an example of how often children that are talented and gifted feel a desire to belong with their peers, and that fights their desire sometimes to achieve. Tony comes from a Latino family that are immigrants, and his parents were born in a foreign country, came as children to America, and they place a high emphasis on education. So this is an even harder conflict for him and his cultural group around him. Many students are affected by these feelings. Conflicts could include, for girls, smart girls are influenced by peers to believe that academic achievement should not be as important as other things. Minority children are influenced by outside cultural influences from their peers and community. And children from humble homes often feel that if they achieve in school, they are breaking away from their family. For example, their parents or family members might say, "You think you're too good for us now, if you're going to college or working towards that goal." And a lot of times creatively talented boys, musicians, and involved in the arts feel pressures as well. In these instances, children might have mixed messages from their outside world. Some messages that girls might hear would be compete but be nice, be ambitious but don't act mean or act like a man, be smart but not too smart, and be the best but still be popular. If they are boys, they might hear messages like express yourself but don't cry, do your best but don't act gay, real men like sports. And different ethnic and racial groups might hear these types of messages. Achieve but don't act white, do well but don't think too much of yourself, and work hard but take care of others first. In some areas, especially urban areas, upward mobility is viewed as distrusting by the outside community. They sometimes think that they're too good now for us. The type of messages these children get, they can be viewed as betraying their community and feel rejection and contempt from their peers. These conflicts cannot be avoided, but we can give students the skills and the ability to cope with these conflicts. The first step is to talk about it with your students or children. We have to let them know that circles that we move in don't always appreciate your success. Some friends and family members aren't going to be happy for you with your success, and the more you treat, the greater social cost may be for you. Some ways to talk about it, our book suggests the first one is to watch a movie that depicts youth struggling with the desire to belong as well as the desire to achieve. Some examples they gave were October Sky and Finding Forrester. These are both movies where boys deal with their community, peers, parents, outside world, discussing the need to belong. They don't necessarily agree with their goals. These boys have achievements that they would like to gain, and it's not viewed by their surrounding environment as a good thing at all times. And it's also an optimistic movie that shows them achieving and dealing with these problems. The book suggests to use starter questions after viewing this movie with your students or children. For example, what was the biggest or the most difficult obstacle they had to get through? This way you're talking about someone else, and then if they feel free to share their feelings, if they're feeling the same way, they can do that without you directly asking them. Another way to discuss this with your children is to use good quality literature. Again, with a character that is coming up against an obstacle with the desire to need to belong as well as to achieve. An example they gave would be the book October Sky. There's many books with good quality literature that you could use with your children or students that are optimistic in the end, that would bring up these topics. Keep the discussion on the characters and make sure you speak as little as possible. Let them speak and follow their lead. That way they're able to open up to you about how they feel or if they have felt this way in a situation. Talk to children about the cost of success, what good and bad things might occur from them achieving their goal. A good way is to address their concerns, maybe sit down and make a web. In the middle, put their goal, and then spokes off of the web, one positive, one negative thing that might happen if they achieve their goal. Also, addressing their concerns using a mentor who has maybe achieved this goal, career goal, whatever it may be, and how they have dealt with the negatives would be a great way to address their concerns. Another thing that might have to occur is teaching your children or students how to cope with new social spheres, dealing with their goals. There was a quote in our book from Barack Obama that said, "I learned to slip back and forth between my white and black worlds, understanding that each possessed its own language and customs and structures of meaning." This could also be called code switching, which is when students go back and forth between different cultures. Their behaviors, their dress, the way they speak might differ between the two environments. For example, in an urban setting, such as a school, students might use a street code when they're out with their friends. Their dress, the accepted behaviors for success and respect are different in that environment than they would be in a school setting. And a way to make sure that the children are switching or back and forth without difficulty is to have them speak to a mentor who deals with this on a daily basis and how they deal with it without compromising their integrity and feeling like they're betraying the group they originally came from. The more experience a child has with people of different cultures, ethnicities, different environments, the better they will be at code switching and being able to fit in different environments. Finally, make sure that your children and students are around peers that positively influence them and encourage them in their goals, as well as family members and friends. For the parents need to make sure they surround themselves with people who are also encouraging them and their child's goals. If you have negative people around you, you try to avoid that conflict. If you must be around them, it would be a good idea to teach your child coping skills to deal with this. The last thing I'm going to leave us with from our chapter is that these could be all ways that we can reconcile the need to belong and the need to achieve. It will not be easy, but by using these strategies, students or children would feel better about achieving their goals and will be more successful.